I'm Richard Pyatt. Welcome back to Creating Dementia Solutions. Our Miles for Memories program you can hear, hopefully you are, by way of YouTube. Miles for Memories there. Maybe it's battlecreekpodcast.com. Maybe it's on Access Vision. Glad you found us wherever that is. In 2026, we've been talking about personal stories of dementia. And in doing so, if you've been following us, you've heard this. The caregiver component, I feel safe in saying now, always comes out. We hear about it almost without asking. In fact, I think in our last episode with Stacy Wines, it did. It came right out in terms of her experiences as a caregiver. Sherry Sherman's back with us now from Miles for Memories to talk about something called CARDS. And I have to go to my notes to tell you what that means, because it's some very specific words. Caregivers for Alzheimer's and related dementia support. Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
This is a new program that you're developing. And I suppose when you have a track record like Miles for Memories, you come with a concept and some of the preliminary funders say, gotcha. Maybe it's not that easy, but
well, maybe not quite.
Generally speaking,
yes,
it's clear what Miles for Memories is doing. Movement programming research. Here's programming, and here's a need you've identified.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Well, you know, we get phone calls from caregivers every single week. That caregiver might be somebody that's brand new to caregiving. That caregiver might be somebody who's been doing it now for 2 years and is just so frustrated they don't know what next step to take. We have caregivers that think they got it all started in the right direction, and then an incident happens and it turns everything upside down, and suddenly they feel like they're starting all over again. And they can't seem to take the time to get away to make sure that their own self-care needs are met. And so we talk to folks everywhere in the spectrum. We even talk to folks who are now at the point where a loved one has passed and they feel like they have a wealth of knowledge and they'd like to share that with someone else. And so we have developed, as a result of that, a mentor-mentee program to have someone who's been through this, understands, at least in their specific situation, because it's all different, some of those needs and even some of the social isolation that happens for a caregiver, and how to re-engage with another person. And so we're trying to put folks together that need support, that need care, that we know need care whether they haven't figured that out or not yet, and to set up a program that they can access at some point whenever they need it.
So this became, I presume, obvious.
Yes.
So you have a way of saying, look, here's the numbers. If you don't know someone affected by dementia yet, you will.
Definitely.
And that might mean you know of someone caring for someone with it. Maybe it's not someone in your immediate circle. But this is the path we're on.
Yeah.
So the more Miles for Memories engages with programming and events, you start to recognize where some of the needs are. This must be one of them. That in the process of helping folks, it's become obvious that caregivers become caregivers by association, and that doesn't mean that you can just take a little Men in Black thing and know everything about it, right?
Right, yeah.
It's a path here.
It is.
And you need help.
You do. And sometimes you don't know it until you're so far deep in it and you don't know where else to breathe. And sometimes folks are energetic enough to ask right from the get-go. So it just kind of depends on where the individual lands in the spectrum. You know, the thing is that when somebody needs help, they don't conveniently do it within the time frame of 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. It always seems to happen Friday night, Saturday, Sunday morning, Christmas Eve, you know, any time at which there's not somebody at the office. And our office, fortunately, if you call and it is not being answered, it truncates to my cell phone.
Boy.
Yeah. So on Christmas Eve, if a phone call comes through from Miles for Memories from an unknown number, I will let it go to voicemail first. But if they call back, you know they're calling because they need help. And I can spend anywhere from a half an hour to 2.5 hours on the phone with somebody just listening. I'm not giving clinical advice. At this point, they just need somebody to listen and figure out what they need to do next. And, they'll go through all of the steps where they're at and what they've done and what they want to do. And you'll give them, a potential, oh, I did that. And so it's just a matter of working your way through it. And they come every week. And they rarely come during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And, if we think about caregiving in general, many caregivers are still working. So part of their caregiving responsibilities don't happen during the workday. They happen at the end of the day, or at least the end of their workday, before they transition to the next round.
Yeah.
And so that need happens when it is not daytime hours.
Not a 9 to 5 thing.
It is not. So, we will answer and take care of and respond to as many different things as we can. One of the programs that we have that's already up and functioning that will expand is our telephone reassurance program. Once you are added into that, somebody will reach out to you every single week, sometimes a couple times a week, to find out where you're at, what you need, chat with you, see what's okay, ask you if you have taken your steps towards healthcare that you need. Those phone calls don't last very long. Again, the intention is not to replace anything that's existing, but rather to say, have you met with your doctor? Have you scheduled your doctor appointment? Have you taken action in this particular area? It's just a bunch of questions that, frankly, sometimes need to be brought back to the surface.
I think sometimes people call that an accountability buddy.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
This is someone who's looking out for you and just checking in on that.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of situation that helps you realize here's where we can come up with some extra supports or additional supports and programming.
Yeah.
So that call on Christmas Eve helped you realize, you know what? People don't always know what the next step is.
Yes.
And that's what cards is about.
Yes. So in January of this year, we started asking a series of questions in reverse in terms of why you called, what it is that you feel like you need most. Do you know how to get started? Do you know where to go to get started? And a list of questions. And the biggest thing that we were evaluating is, at this point, if we could help you as the caregiver put together a care plan for you, to help you manage how you engage, but also then provide care and still include yourself in that process, would that benefit you? Without hesitation, those that have been doing it for a while, 60% of the folks said most definitely. And then the remaining 40% either said, I'm so new to this, I don't know what I need yet, or I need something, but I don't know what that is. So there was not one that said, nothing, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
Frankly, if they did, they wouldn't be calling.
Right.
And it just started to blossom from there. And then we had those that would call because their loved one passed. And they no longer needed to be on the telephone reassurance program, but stayed for a while just because we wanted to just stay in contact, and found that they had a void. And they wanted to re-engage, and they wanted to help somebody else at the same time. So that's how that side of the equation started to build as well. And beginning to put this together, the whole leadership team from Miles for Memories really identified 12 key pillars that really need to be looked at for any person, whether it's a care plan for the one that you love or are a provider for, or whether it's for yourself. And how do we begin to choose what to do first?
Yes, so you can imagine someone at any point in this caregiving journey may not know what the next step is.
Right. Or the first step.
Or the first step. They might even have been on this path for a while and think they're doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden they get somewhere and say, oh, now what?
Yeah.
So how will cards help them sort that out?
So initially, as we start to get going, through the development of the algorithm, which includes at a minimum 36 questions to be statistically relevant, right? And then we will begin to evaluate the outcomes from the inputs and to make sure that we don't always land on something because something may be weighted wrong. Or it could be that that's always the thing they need to do first. And truthfully, it's not. So, so we're going to take a good 6 months to evaluate how well the algorithm that we're putting together works. How is it functioning? Once you get started in the algorithm to get the initial outputs, then there's more questions after that based on the criteria that has been given back to you. And you will generally, at first, you're going to be coming into the office, or I'm going to be talking over the phone with somebody and making their way through this. Everybody that's going to be working with a person over the phone is going to have a Creating Dementia Solutions certification, and so that it's not somebody who is a clinical person, but rather has an understanding of the insides and outsides of what's going on with dementia itself, right? Additionally, once we get past that point, they're going to end up getting a couple of different things that they need to start with. All right, so maybe the first thing they need to do is to look at outside caregiving resources. Maybe the first thing they need to do is some additional education. Maybe one of the first really hard things to do is to get all the siblings together and to start evaluating who can do what. Maybe it's legal documents. Maybe it's a support group that could be beneficial for them. There's a whole lot of different things. So we get them started in that. We set up a regular 3-month schedule for them to come back in. How are you doing with your first 3 items? Do we need to reevaluate? How is that changing? If you didn't get there, why are you not getting there? Life happens, things get in the way. So we already know that that's going to occur, and help them then take the next steps. Once the algorithm is finally been tested, it's been made it through all of its beta testing, and we know that the outcomes from them and us working through utilizing the algorithm are accurate, and then it's going to go up on the website. So once it's finally starting to work the way it needs to, a person can go straight to the website, answer all of those questions. They'll get an immediate response that says, George, you need to do this first.
I'm fascinated by this. This is almost, dare I say, like AI, right? You're creating this computerized resource that has evaluated many of the scenarios that a caregiver may be facing.
Yep.
And when you say, I need help with X, it's going to come around and evaluate that and offer some thoughts about what you might do next.
Yes.
It's a training. You've trained this algorithm to then offer useful information.
Yes. Yes. Now, and if somebody does not want to do it online, we'll just set an appointment. They can come into the office. We can do things over the phone, just how we're going to start. But we need to start. Right, and we need to start making our way through it. We need to pilot different sections, as I already mentioned, and make sure that it's working. And the reach for it is intended, I mean, this is intended for Calhoun County, but literally, I suppose anybody who wants to go to the website and give it a whirl can go to the website and give it a whirl. But we know that if we are losing caregivers before we lose the person that's receiving care, that's a problem. Because right now and into the future, there is not going to be enough caregiving locations, enough beds in the nursing home industry to meet all of those needs for individuals who are currently being cared for at home. So either the state needs to make some changes, we need to allow for expansions in different areas, which is not on the docket for activities to occur, and yet we know that this shortage is coming. So this is another way of making sure that our caregivers can remain healthy and can still thrive in life, even while being a caregiver at the same time and helping their loved to do the same.
Yeah. And this gives them some support that, on top of providing some direction, also gives them some confidence about what they have in front of them.
Yep, it does.
Sherry, this is akin to your technology innovations. And by that I mean, you know, how do you keep somebody from going to the ER if they've wandered? Somehow the notion of technology came into that thinking, and look what happened. You have these resources now that anybody can have that would help avoid that situation. This is a similar thing. I mean, okay, I'm not a IT guru, I'm the first to tell you, but I don't know that I would look at a problem or a need and say, what's the tech solution to this, yet you keep doing that. This is another example of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
So
We have some incredible people. We do.
wow. So where is this now? This is, you're calling this a new program. You've got some initial funding behind it.
Yep.
What's your timeline and pathway? When will it be on the website? We're all ready to get there.
We're looking at a 3-year process.
Okay.
And if it can happen faster, then it will, right? Because every day somebody's calling and needs help moving through
Yes,
these steps.
it's happening
And
now.
we still work through some of these steps. It's just that the algorithm itself is not yet functioning, right? So we got our initial funding to go ahead and formally launch. We've been working with funding that comes in from the walks and the other sources that we already have to begin doing some of this background work, detailing, pulling it all together. And as part of that, the Stucco Fund from the Battle Creek Community Foundation, being managed by the Calhoun County Senior Services, has awarded us our first $10,000 to go ahead and get started and start with some of that technology work, to start pulling it all together. And we have put out some additional grant requests to see if we can then move to the next stage. And it's really interesting because, some of the responses that we get back, we've all gotten back. I mean, every response has been, oh, so this is in development? Well, yeah, this is in development because it doesn't exist. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this,
Yeah,
right? And they're like, wow, this could be really cool. So now I have 1,000 questions on how this might work. And, it's in development. I can tell you the concept,
Yes.
right? And what the concept is today and how it actually works once we have developed our full Dementia Caregiver Coalition to manage, evaluate, and help with it. It might look a little bit different. The intention is still the same, though. We want to create a tool as part of our overall toolkit to make providing care for a caregiver easier.
And you talk about the coalition, so someone listening to this could have a role in helping this eventuate.
Yes, most definitely. So if you are an individual who is a caregiver, was a caregiver, work in the field of providing care or support to somebody living with dementia, we would like to invite you to join our Dementia Caregiver Coalition. And as part of that, again, we're building this out, we're testing it, we're trying to make sure it happens. We're a team of volunteers, right? And it's amazing what volunteers can get to happen when they have a passion behind what's going on. And if you've ever been impacted, that passion burns, right?
Right.
In Calhoun County alone, by the year 2050, we're going to have 11,000 people in Calhoun County that are impacted by dementia. 11,000, that's a huge number.
That is a huge number.
Yeah. So, right now, between caregivers and the person impacted by dementia in Calhoun County, we're pushing that 7,000 mark.
Wow. All right, so what do? They've heard this, they want to be part of the coalition, just call you up, right? That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. They can give us a jingle, they can, shoot to the website, they can go to the Facebook page, send me a message, or just put a message on there, and we will start pulling those things together. A lot of it has worked from the leadership team that we have from Miles for Memories that meets the second Thursday of every month. So we just got done with a meeting, and that leadership team kind of has an oversight on everything that we do. Different folks on the leadership team have their hands and or tentacles in different projects. Not everybody's doing the same thing, and that's what helps make it work, right?
And coincidentally enough, our last conversation was with Stacy Wines from Carewell Services. Carewell is a partner.
Yes, most definitely. So Carewell Services, Calhoun County Senior Services, Summit Point would be another one. Working with IHP as an example, we'll be doing a presentation there next week, actually this week. And those organizations that in some way, shape, or form touch the life of a person living with dementia is going to be a wonderful resource for this whole program.
Well, congratulations on yet another innovation. That's what this is. Yeah. And the ability to recognize needs and then put action behind addressing them. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
All right, cards. Caregivers for Alzheimer's and related dementia support. That's what CARDS stands for, a budding program. at Miles for Memories, which will eventuate, I'm going to say will, eventuate into a resource to help caregivers sort out a caregiving plan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be back soon. Follow Miles for Memories on Facebook, that page that Sherry talked about. You'll start to see that information. Reach out by phone, by website, whatever it might be, if you want to be part of the Dementia Caregiver Coalition at Miles for Memories. And we'll be back soon here on Creating Dementia Solutions. Take care.